The bottom line is that over the course of the summer and fall, the offensive has succeeded in only taking a very small sliver of land. And that's because the Russians built up miles of very significant defensive fortifications, minefields, trenches, and it's very difficult for any military to break through those kinds of defensive fortifications. And the Ukrainians didn't make much progress. In fact, over the course of 2023, Russia actually gained more territory in Ukraine than Ukraine did.
In Kiev klinkt het waarschijnlijk als vloeken in de kerk, maar voor Charles Kupchan is het moment gekomen voor Oekraïne om het geweer van schouder te veranderen. Het Oekraïense tegenoffensief is mislukt, het kwam nooit echt van de grond en niets wijst erop dat Oekraïne op korte termijn veel sterker zal staan.
Good strategy is not just about the desirable, but it's also about the attainable. And that's why it's important, I think, to have a conversation about what next. What are the next moves in the war, and whether it does make sense for Ukraine to pivot from an offensive strategy to a defensive strategy, in which instead of focusing on reconquering territory, it focuses on defending the 82% of Ukraine that is now under control of Kyiv.
Koppig vasthouden aan onrealistische strategische doelen zou Oekraïne uiteindelijk kunnen uitputten, zo waarschuwt Kupchan. En dat zou tot een veel dramatischer afloop kunnen leiden.
The worst outcome is one in which Ukraine burns through the weapons that the US and Europe give them and end up being exposed to a new Russian offensive. We want to avoid a situation in which a Russian victory actually might become a possibility.
Voor Kupchan zou zo'n strategische omslag van offensief naar defensief de deur kunnen openen naar onderhandelingen, al zullen we daar geduld voor moeten oefenen.
Yeah, the goal here is to try to lock in a stalemate in which neither side believes that it can make much progress on the battlefield. I think the most likely outcome is probably a new frozen conflict, a new war that goes down to much lower levels, but in which there isn't a full cessation of fighting and in which there isn't an agreement on territory. And we know from history that when those kinds of stalemates emerge, the window opens for diplomacy.
President Zelensky was vandaag nog op bezoek in Litouwen. Vooral de Baltische staten steunen hem voluit, want daar willen ze niet dat Oekraïne maar een duimbreed toegeeft aan Poetin. Want dat zou Poetin op het idee kunnen brengen om ook nog andere landen, zoals de Baltische landen, aan te vallen. Charles Kupchan pleit voor geduld.
I think Ukraine needs to play the long game here. Do I expect Ukraine to be able to regain territorial sovereignty while Putin is in power? No. But I don't think it is completely out of the realm of possibility that in a post-Putin era, Ukraine might be able to regain territorial integrity.
Voorlopig lijkt het erop dat president Zelensky niet wil weten van het standpunt van Kupchan. Maar achter de schermen beweegt er wat.
Quiet conversations are taking place between Washington and Kyiv, between Washington and European capitals with Kyiv, about the potential switch to a defensive strategy. And there is an internal conversation within Ukraine about this issue.